Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yatkripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinim Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone in our Tuesday evening class. So we are discussing Nectar of Instruction by Srila Rupa Goswami, translated by and commented by Srila Prabhupada. So last time we discussed the preface and text number 1 for Nectar of Instruction. So just as a quick recap of what we discussed last time, I will share the screen, the few slides I had shared with everyone. So Nectar of Instruction overview. There are total 11 verses in Nectar of Instruction. The first verse talks about controlling the mind and senses, right? Different urges of the body and mind. Jihva vegam, udara upastha vegam. So starting with vacho vegam. So vacho vegam, manasah krodha vegam. Jihva vegam, udara upastha vegam. Etan vegan yu vishaheta dhira, sarvam apimam prithvim sashishyat. So it talk about controlling mind and senses. Then the next verse, which we are going to discuss today, it talks about the don'ts, the 6 things which are unfavorable for our Krishna consciousness. Then text 3 will talk about 6 things which are favorable for Krishna consciousness. So the things which should be avoided to progress in spiritual life, and the 6 things which we should be doing with enthusiasm for progressing in Krishna consciousness. Then text number 4 through 6 deal with how to associate with devotees. Text 4 is 6 loving exchanges between the devotees. Text 5 is dealing with different type of devotees. Different type means the devotees at different level in their spiritual progress. As a neophyte devotee, madhyamadhikari, uttamadhikari. So in that way, dealing with different type of devotees. Text number 6 talk about avoiding material outlook in dealing with devotees, not considering the devotees from the bodily point of view. Oh, this devotee doesn't look very handsome, or he is having some bodily deformity or something, and he belongs to a different caste or creed, or he belongs to a different nationality. So avoiding these material outlook in dealing with devotees. Text 7 talks about the glories of the holy name. And text 8, meditation on Krishna's name, form, qualities, pastime. And then text 9 through 11 talks about the glories of Radha Kund and glories of residing in Radha Kund at Govardhan in Brajamandal. So that is the overall overview of 11 verses in Nectar of Instruction. And we talked about the 9 stages of maturity in devotional service, how we progress from little Shraddha in the beginning to the level of Prema. So we start in the process because of little Shraddha, right? At least little faith have to be there in the process or in the devotee. Then we start associating with devotees, sadhu sangha. Then we start engaging in the process of devotional service in terms of chanting the holy name, hearing Krishna Katha. So that is bhajana kriya. And because of bhajana kriya, because of association of devotees, the anarthas in the heart, they start to go away. Anartha nivritti. Then we become more steady in the process. Our faith matures. It becomes nishtha. Then our taste develops further in the process. Ruchi develops. And then ruchi transforms into asakti, attachment, attachment with the deity of the Lord, attachment with the name, attachment to particular service to the Lord. So our asakti develops, and then it further matures into bhava. Emotions develop in the heart. Tears start flowing from the eyes. The hairs start to stand on the end, in shivering of the body. So that type of emotion develop when we are hearing Harikatha, when we are chanting the holy name, ultimately leading to prema. That is the ultimate stage of devotion service, developing the love for the Lord. So those are the 9 stages, and how the nectar of instruction is helping us move from Shraddha to Prema. Right? So text 1 through 3, they are helping us developing faith, developing Shraddha. What are the things to be done? What are the things not to be done? So that is developing Shraddha. Then 4 to 6, Sadhu Sangha. Text 7, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, leading to Nishtha and Ruchi. Text 8, it helps in developing Asakti, that attachment towards Krishna's name, form, qualities, pastimes. Then text 9 through 11, developing Bhav and Prema. So that was the overall overview of Nectar of Instruction. So last time we discussed the first text, Vacho Vegam Manasah Krodha Vegam Jihva Vegam Udarupastha Vegam Etan Vegan Yo Vishaheta Dhiraha Sarvam Apimam Prithvim Sashishyat. So the urges to speak, Vacho Vegam, Manasa, the urges of the mind, the demands of the mind, Krodha Vegam, the urges of anger, Jihva Vegam, the urges of the tongue, and then Udara. Udara means the belly, urges of the belly. So what is the difference in urges of the tongue and urges of the belly? The tongue demands quality food, and belly demands quantity of the food, right? The stomach wants more and more, and tongue demands better and better food stuff, tasty and tasty. So in that way, the Jihva Vegam, Udara Vegam, and Upastha Vegam, the genitals. So somebody who is able to control all these urges is qualified to make disciple all over the world. So that is a preliminary qualification for somebody to be a spiritual master. Of course, there are many other positive attributes needed: attachment to the Supreme Lord, following the scriptures, being fully established in the Supreme. So those are other criterias. So today we'll discuss about text number 2, which talks about the 6 things which are unfavorable for our Krishna consciousness. So what are those unfavorable things? Let's discuss that. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasanghascha lolyam cha shadbhir bhaktir vinashyati. So atyahar, ahar means food. Atyahar, ati ahar means when we are eating too much, and it also means accumulating too much. That is atyahar. So it relates to overeating and over collecting. Then prayasascha, when we are doing atyahar, it will lead to prayas, over endeavoring to achieve something which is very difficult to attain. Prajalpa means unnecessary talk, frivolous talk, mundane talk, gossip. Niyam agraha and niyam agraha. So it has 2 different aspects to this. This word, if we split it properly, so it is also niyam agraha. Agraha means to follow. So blindly following the rules and regulation just for the sake of following them, but not understanding the real purpose behind them. And niyam agraha means blindly rejecting the rules and regulation of scripture. So either somebody is on one extreme side of blindly following those rules and regulation without understanding the purpose. On the other extreme is just completely rejecting those rules and regulation. Oh, these are useless. I don't need to follow that. So both are bad. Then Jan Sanghascha, the association of worldly minded people. Then Lolyam is greed. So these 6 things, Shadbhir Bhaktir Vinashyati, these 6 things destroy our bhakti. Now, what is the connection with previous verse to this verse? So when somebody does not have control on the mind and senses, then what is the tendency? When we don't have control on our tongue, then it want to eat more, right? That is it leads to atyahara. And then when we do atyahara, then we have to do prayas. When we do prayas, then we have to do janasanga, means we associate with many other worldly minded people, because when you go out in the world over endeavoring, trying to earn more and more, so you deal with many different people, worldly minded people, so it leads to janasanga. And when we do janasanga, what does it lead to? It lead to prajalpa also, it lead to lolyam also. And further, ultimately, when we are doing prajalpa, we tend to not follow the rules and regulation, because when we are doing mundane gossip and all, then we give up all the scriptural injunctions, scriptural rules and regulation. So that is how the transition is from text 1 to text 2. So how this verse we can apply, or how to understand it clearly. So how Prabhupada start writing the commentary on this particular verse. It talks about, first of all, why we are there in this material world, right? And in this material world, we are struggling hard to maintain ourselves, and we are dealing with all these needs and demands of the senses and the mind. So first of all, why we are here in this material world? What is this material world? So the Lord has 3 different type of energies. What are those 3 different type of energies? Anybody knows?
Superior energy, marginal potency, inferior energy.
Right. So there are 3 different energies of the Lord. It's called Bahiranga Shakti, Tathastha Shakti, and Antaranga Shakti, or external energy, marginal energy, and internal energy. Right. So the external energy is Lord's energy, this material nature. That is external energy of the Lord, which is the manifestation of this whole material world, which is maintaining this material world. So that is external energy of the Lord. Then Tathastha Shakti means the marginal potency, that is Jivas, the living entity. The living entity comprises the marginal potency of the Lord. So Tathastha Shakti means it is situated on the Tata. What is Tata? So when you go on the river bank or the ocean bank, right? So there is a Tata. On one side there is water, on another side there is sand. So we are standing just at the edge of that. You go on that side, you are on the water. You come on this side, then you're on the sand. So same way, the living entity, the jiva, is marginal potency of the Lord. We have the choice. We can live in the external energy of the Lord, or we could be under the control of the internal energy of the Lord. And then the third energy of the Lord is internal energy. In internal energy also, there are 3 categories of internal energy: Samvit Shakti, Sandhini Shakti, and Ahladini Shakti. So Sandhini Shakti, so we know Lord has 3 potencies: Sat, Chit, Anand, right? So the Supreme Lord has these 3 aspects: Sat, Chit, Anand, eternity, knowledge, and bliss. So the eternity aspect of the Lord is managed by Sandhini Shakti of the Lord. Sandhini Shakti, because of that Shakti, Lord maintains his eternal Savrupa. Samvit Shakti, with means to know, knowledge. So Lord knows everything, past, present, and future, for infinite number of jivas. And that is because of his Samvit Shakti. And Ahladini Shakti is the pleasure potency of the Lord. Pleasure potency of the Lord means, who is Ahladini Shakti of the Lord? Srimati Radharani. So in this material world, we are all struggling with the external energy of the Lord. We are all under the control of the external energy. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Mama Maya Dhurattaya. Right? This material energy, external energy, is very difficult to overcome. Mam evye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. But if somebody has taken shelter of me, he is easily able to cross beyond this external energy. So this external energy, which is Lord's, what is called Mahamaya Shakti, right? The Maya Shakti, that is, which is managing all the affair of this material world. And then the Mahatmas, in another verse, Lord says, the Mahatmas who have taken shelter of the Devi Prakriti, they can easily cross beyond, they can come to me easily. And what is that Devi Shakti? There, Lord is referring to the internal potency, the Ahladini Shakti of the Lord. Somebody has taken shelter of internal potency, Srimati Radharani. They are very easy to overcome this external energy. Mahatma Nams tu Mam Partha Devim Prakriti Ashrita. So they are under the shelter of Devi Prakriti. So we know who are Mahatma and who are Duratma, right? So there are two different words used, Mahatma and Duratma. Last time in Bhagavad Gita 2.7 also we discussed Brahmana and Kripana. So Kripana is somebody who does not think about the actual goal of their life. They are just leading their life for the mundane purpose, for the activities of eating, sleeping, mating, defending. They don't understand the real purpose of life. And Brahmana is somebody who is broad-minded, who knows the real purpose, real goal of life and works towards that. So somebody who is working towards that, who has taken shelter of the Supreme Lord, they are called Mahatmas. Right? So the word Mahatma is not any ordinary word used. Mahatma word cannot be used for somebody materialistic person, somebody has done some big achievement in this world. We cannot just call anybody as Mahatma. In Krishna's own terminology, which he uses in this Bhagavad Gita, he says, Mahatma nams tu mam partha devim prakritim ashrita. And says, Bahunam janmanam ante. What is that verse? Bahunam janmanam ante Samahatma sudurlava. So after many births, Vasudeva Sarvamiti, who understand that Vasudeva is the ultimate goal of my life, Samahatma sudurlava. Those Mahatmas are very rare. So that is the difference in Mahatma and Duratma. Duratma means somebody who does not consider his purpose of life, who does not pay any attention to his relationship with the Supreme Lord, who is disobeying the orders of the Supreme Lord. So in that way, we are all in this material world. Generally, why we are here? Because we have chosen to be Duratma. We have disobeyed the orders of the Supreme Lord and we have come to this material world. And this material world is like a prison house, right? This material world is described as a prison house or a rectification center, like a hospital. So why this material world is considered as a prison house? So what are the characteristics of a prison house?
Keeps you for some time.
Okay, you are there for some time, but is everybody free to move around? They have everything available at their wish? No. Right? So they have no freedom there. They are actually there to be punished. They are getting some punishment there. So for example, let's say if there is a prisoner there in the prison house and you go ask the prisoner, are you happy here? And the prisoner say, see, there is so cold here at night. I'm not able to sleep properly because I'm always shivering. If I get some warm clothes, some blanket, then it will be okay. And you say, okay, I will make arrangement. We will give you some blanket. So you make arrangement for the blanket, and then next day you ask him, okay, now you have a blanket. Are you happy now? He says, yeah, I am able to sleep properly. I did not feel the cold, but there is still so many mosquitoes in the prison house. And if I get some mosquito net to protect from mosquitoes, then I will be able to sleep properly. So you make arrangement for the mosquito net. Now he is sleeping under the mosquito net. He has a blanket. So next day you ask him, now, are you happy here? Yeah, I was able to sleep properly. But in the morning, I have to take bath, so cold water. If somehow I can get some hot water, warm water, then I will be able to shower, take bath properly. Okay, we'll make arrangement for the warm water. So that also done. Now are you happy here? Yeah, actually they are serving only dal chawal. They don't give anything else to eat. If I get some sabji chapati, then it will be nice. And once in a week, some nice special dish, maybe some chole bhature, some samosa kachori, some sweet dish once a week at least, then I will be happy. So you make arrangement, talk to the jailer, and that is also provided. Now they are giving some sabji chapati also, and once in a week, some nice fancy item. So are you happy here now? So actually, there is so much hard work to do. So all those arrangement, no matter how much you arrangement you make, so if you tell somebody, see, in the prison house, everything is taken care, you are getting proper food, you have nice arrangement for your sleep. So will you like to stay here in the prison house, or will you like to go out of the prison house? So if I ask you this question, so you are in the prison house and all your needs are taken care, you are getting everything. Will you like to stay in the prison house, or will you like to go out of the prison house?
Go out.
Go
Stay
out
in
still? Somebody said stay there.
Yeah.
Stay there. Okay. So actually, see,
That's
so everything is there, right? So I'm getting everything there. So what is the need to go out? Better I will call my relatives also. You also come here, do some crime, and you also get to the jail. We will live here both together. So, but the problem is still, so for example, as of now, right now, let's say all these things are taken care. You are getting proper food, proper sleep. So all those things are there, nice. But we need to understand it is still a jail. And the rules, they may change the rules anytime, right? Today they are giving you all these facilities, tomorrow they may deny all these facilities. Oh no, that was special arrangement done for some time. Now we are not going to give you all this nice sabji, puri, chapati and all that. So you have to survive on only on the dry rice and some watery dal. Or we are not going to give you warm water in the morning to take shower. You have to take bath in the cold bath, cold water. And then, so the rules can change anytime. They may take away all the facilities which are being given. And the second point, all the prison mates, other people who are there in the prison house, are they all very saintly people? Are they all very peaceful people? No.
No.
Right? They are all criminals. That's how they have come into the jail, and they have a quarrelsome tendency. They have the tendency to fight. So they are not like saintly people. They are not going to be very nice to you always. They will pick fight with you, argument with you, and make your life miserable. Even if you want to be a nice person, they will not let you be peaceful. So the prison mates, other prison mates, they are not nice people. And then the third reason, in the prison house, even though you are in the prison house, all those facilities are there, but you are still away from your real family, right? You are staying away from your father, mother, children, spouse, all your friend circle. So this prison house, this material world is also like a prison house. We are here, we are away from the spiritual world, we are away from our real family, we are away from our real father, the supreme father. So in prison house, the third problem is we are still away from our real family, our real loved ones. Then the fourth problem in the prison house, is there any other problem? So in the prison house, there is so much hard struggle, right? It's not the life is very peaceful, very easy. They will make you work hard. You get up in the morning, they have to break the stones, they have to do some other hard work, do some other knitting jobs or something. There are so many odd jobs which the prisoners have to do, and they make them work for 10-12 hours, and then at the end of the day they will give some dal chawal to them. So the life is not easy. It's a very life full of struggle. So that is fourth problem. Fifth problem is, even though you are in the prison house, you are always bound between that boundary wall, between those four walls. You are not free to move anywhere at your will. Right? So these are the problems. So that's why now you tell me, do you want to still live in the prison house, or you want to go out of the prison house?
Go out.
Go.
now we understand, right? Everybody agrees we need to go out of that prison house. So how to go out of that prison house that is what is these instructions of the scripture help us to move towards the Supreme Lord, to go out of the spiritual, to go out of this material world, to attain that spiritual world, which is our eternal home, the real home. Because in this material world, no matter how happy you are at this point of time, but always there is another problem which is just waiting for you. Padam padam yad vipadam. And always there are threefold misery which is attacking everybody. The misery of adhipathic klesh, adhyatmic klesh, adhidaivik klesh. The misery is caused by our own body and mind. Misery is caused by other living entity to us. Misery is caused by the higher nature. Sometimes there is flood, earthquake, fire, some other virus, coronavirus, or some other monkey related disease which is going on in Chicago right now. I heard there is another lockdown in Chicago for some other virus spread there. So always there is something or other problem in this material world. So we need to seriously look towards other option, that we don't want to live in this material world, better to get out of this place. And how can we do that? For that we need to work on controlling our mind and senses. Because of these things, because of our unlimited desires, we are bound in this material world. So the first verse was controlling the mind and senses. Second verse talk about these 6 things which are unfavorable for our progress in Krishna consciousness. So let's take a look at all these 6 things here, what these 6 things points towards. So the point of these first 3 verses is basically it points towards simple living and high thinking. Right? When we talk about simple living and high thinking, people generally have the other conception. They want to not have simple living. They want to have a high living and simple thinking, right? Not think much, just do it. That is their motto, just do it. And then they keep bound in this material world. Somebody may be happy, somebody may even go to Swarga also. People want to do pious activities so that they can go to Swarga. Why? Because in Swarga there is a lot of enjoyment, there are a lot of facilities there, better facilities there. But no matter if somebody is on earth planet or Swarga, ultimately it's bound in this material world. If you are bound by a gold chain or a silver chain or an iron chain, it is still bondage, right? If I ask you, will you be like to be bound by a golden chain or a silver chain or an iron chain? Yeah, Prabhuji, I will like to be bound by golden chain. Yes, you are bound by gold chain, but still it's bondage. You are bound. So no matter where we are in this material world, it's bondage only. So the principle is simple living and high thinking. And high thinking means think of the higher reality. And what is that higher reality? Krishna says, Mattah paratram nanyat. There is nothing superior than me. So when we cultivate that higher thought, when we want to move towards that higher energy, internal energy of the Lord, away from this external energy. So these 6 points in this verse are meant for us how to apply that simple living and high thinking principle. So the first one is atyahara, overeating and over collecting. So both points are covered in this. Ahar means to eat and atyahara means overeating, right? And ahar, simply generally we think something related to the tongue, or ahar which is related to the stomach. But ahar is for all the senses basically. All our senses have their particular food. Now, for example, for a drunkard person, alcohol is like a food for him. Alcohol is not ahar, but for alcoholic persons, feels like that is ahar for him. So same way, all the object of our senses, they are like the ahara for the senses. Jiva wants quality food, stomach want quantity of food. So both these things lead to atyahara. And because of this tendency to enjoy various food stuff or the too much quantity of food stuff, if the person is just wandering from one place to another place looking for a better place to eat, what is that? Jihvera lalasa iti utidhai. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is this verse come that because of just satisfying the taste of the tongue, one is just going from one place to another place. So somebody who is surrendered to his tongue, his belly and genitals, for that person, he cannot attain Krishna. Krishna nahi paye. So we need to cut down this tendency of atyahara, which is overeating. Then how about over accumulating? Accumulating too much is also atyahara. So Prabhupada gives this analogy so many times in his books. The analogy of a rice bag kept on the road. So if you're in the middle of a road, you find a rice bag, what happens? If some animal comes, some rat comes, some bird come, they will take few grains and they will go away. Like they are not going to grab the whole bag. Let me take it for my future, next few days to come. I will live happily. They just fill their beak, fill their belly, and they just go away. They are not thinking about what if I find my dinner today or tomorrow's dinner or not. But if a man comes, a human being comes, what is the tendency? He will grab the whole bag and store it in the storeroom. So that is, this example is showing in context of greed or the grabbing mentality. It's not that, okay, we should not save for the future. Yes, we can do saving for the future, for emergency situation. But this example is to show basically the tendency of greed, over accumulation, or a grabbing mentality, sometimes to such an extent that we don't even bother about others, if others have enough or not. So for example, in temple, let's say there is a very nice Sunday feast program, very nice feast has been cooked. In the feast, there's a gulab jamun prepared, and it is enough for all the people who are going to visit. We are preparing, let's say, for 200 people, right? So enough gulab jamun for everybody to serve to everybody. Now, if one person goes inside the kitchen and see this big pot of gulab jamun with hundreds of gulab jamun in that, and he take 10-12 gulab jamun, oh, let me just enjoy. So what is that mentality? He is this overeating or over accumulating, not thinking about others. Oh, will everybody else get it or not? So that is the tendency of over accumulating, which is atyahara. So same way, when we have this grabbing mentality, we may cause lack of food or lack of something other item of necessity for others. For example, when this corona situation started, right, people were in panic situation, or the stores are going to be empty, there will be lack of supply, so people were going to store and grabbing all the things. Grabbing in the sense accumulating so that we can survive for next 6 months or 1 year, stocking so much at their homes, like the basic necessity items, the toilet paper, rice bags, hand sanitizers, all these kind of things. They were accumulating, and people were not getting those. So somebody else is over accumulating, stocking up at their home, and somebody else is not finding those places. They are having scarcity of those things. So that is the tendency of over accumulating. One person may collect thousands of dresses or shoes at their home. They may not even wear any of those dresses for next 2 years, but they have accumulated so much. So one should avoid this tendency of overeating and over collecting. And same way, when we are coming to the process of spirituality, or somebody is following some religious practice, in that also, it is not for the purpose of gaining material wealth. Somebody may practice the religion for over collecting, for gaining some earth, some material opulence. They use the religion as a tool to get more and more, right? Somebody is doing, let's say, Bhagavad Katha or Ram Katha, and what is their ultimate purpose is to acquire more and more, to gain more and more wealth, or more and more some popularity or something. That is their overall agenda of doing some religious practice. So Prabhupada quote a very wonderful verse actually in the purport of this text number 2 from Srimad Bhagavatam, from first canto, second chapter, text number 9. So he quote that verse, says, Dharmasya hi apavargasya, na artho arthaya upkalpate, na arthasya dharma eka kantasya kamo labhaya hi smartha. So dharmasya hi apavargasya, the purpose of following dharma, the purpose of following the religious practice for the purpose of apavarga, to become free from the bondage of this material world, to attain the higher realm, the spiritual world. Na artho arthayapi akalpate, upkalpate. And if by following dharma, somebody is acquiring some material wealth, na arthasya dharma ekantasya kamo labhaya his smartha. And if somebody has acquired that wealth, that's not for the purpose of sense enjoyment. That is the verdict of all the saintly people. So if somebody is following religious practice also, it's to attain the ultimate goal of life, not for getting some material opulences in this world. Because we should understand, right? No matter how much you accumulate, at the end, we cannot carry anything with us. What goes with us is our state of mind, our consciousness. And what is the consequence of doing this atyahara? If somebody is too much over accumulating, thinking, oh, I need to accumulate for my next generations to come. I want to earn so much that the sixth generation, they can live happily without working hard. So what is the end result? It leads to over attachment. So there is a story, somebody, a very rich person who had a big bungalow and he accumulated so much wealth and he died. And because of his so much consciousness which was absorbed in that home and his family, in next life he was born in a poor family as a cobbler, jute banane wala, mochi, and he was having his stall very close to his bungalow where he used to live in his previous life. So he was born as a cobbler, and one day he went to that bungalow, that palace which we had built, and he was beaten by his own sons and grandsons from his previous life and dragged away from that place. So that is the result of this atyahara, because atyahara will lead to over attachments also. So what happens next if we are doing this atyahara? No matter how much you accumulate, we cannot carry anything with us. Some people try to fill their emptiness by filling their belly with a lot of food, right? You may have seen somebody who is under anxiety, under depression. What they do, just eat and eat and eat, just sitting on a sofa and just munching something or other. Somebody is munching like potato chips or drinking the sodas. What they become like a couch potatoes. So people, they are trying to fill their emptiness by eating more and more food, or somebody want to fill their bank accounts with money, thinking that, oh, if I have a lot of wealth, it will impress other people. And somebody want to fill their nameplate with degrees, so many different titles, MA, MPhil and PhD and whatnot. So somebody has so many different degrees listed behind their name. So people want to fill their nameplates with the degrees. That is also over accumulation, right? That's over kind of acquiring so much of information which will fill their head with all the unnecessary data, unnecessary things. So how we can cut down our atyahara? What is the process to cut down atyahara is by increasing or intensifying our Krishna consciousness. So when we say yes to Krishna, then automatically we are saying no to Maya. We don't have to do extra endeavor. Right? So devotees also, it's not that all the devotees are living under a poverty line. No, devotees also may be very wealthy. Some devotees are very rich, like Ambarish Prabhu. He is having so much wealth and he contributes so much of his wealth in service of Krishna. So it does not mean that devotee have to live below poverty line. All that it matters is we are utilizing our resources in service of Krishna. If we have any ability, we can get the things, but use in Krishna's service. So it should not be taking us away from Krishna, but it should be taking us towards Krishna. Like we know from the pastimes of Goswamis, Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, they were also having a lot of wealth. It said they had a boat full of gold coins. But how they utilized their possession, they were not doing atyahara. Their possession of wealth was not in the category of atyahara. They were utilizing their wealth in service of Krishna. In the back of their home, they had created such a nice Govardhan-like setting. They had created whole Vrindavan in the back side of their house. There was Govardhan, there was like the Radha Kund, Shyam Kund. They have the replica of everything. And then when they left everything, they were going to Vrindavan, they donated all the wealth, giving in charity, giving to relatives in need. So in that way, they utilize their wealth. So how we can utilize all our facilities, all our talents in service of Krishna. It's not that we are completely cutting down the need of the senses. Yes, the body, the mind, the senses have their need. We fulfill the need of the senses, but without going into the category of atyahara. Yes, we need to eat. So eat Krishna Prasad in a moderate quantity. Before coming to Krishna consciousness, somebody is used to of drinking tea or coffee. They are addicted to drinking tea or coffee. Now we say, okay, you want to drink some hot beverage, so take herbal tea or some other herbal coffee, like a non-caffeine coffee. There are so many alternate options are there. Somebody say, oh, I cannot completely dedicate myself. I cannot live like a bachelor life or as a, what we call brahmachari life. So, okay, get married, live with your wedded wife, and you can beget Krishna conscious children, train children in Krishna consciousness. So all the necessities of life, all the needs of the senses can be fulfilled in a Krishna conscious way. Just live life without committing sins. And what is sin? Right? What is the basic definition of sin? Anybody?
Any activity that is done without keeping Krishna in the center is a sin.
Okay, so any activity done without keeping Krishna in the center is sin. Yes. So in general sense, what we say is sin is any activity we are doing by disobeying the orders of Krishna. Right? So that is sinful. So don't live a life which is full of sin. Just live God-centered life by following the rules and regulations of the scripture. Because if somebody is committing sin, he has to suffer the consequences of those sins. One cannot escape from the laws of God. We can escape the laws of state sometime. We may not, somebody can commit some crime disobeying the state law and not get punished. Somebody can cross the red light signal and may not be caught by the cops and escape. But somebody cannot escape from God's law. If somebody commits some sinful activity, they have to pay the price for that. So yes, lead a Krishna conscious life. It provides all the facility for all our needs. So avoiding atyahara. Then next, let's move to the next one. Next one is called Prayas. Prayas is, sometimes Prayas is taken in a positive connotation also, right? We need to do our Prayas, our endeavor. Yes, we need to do our endeavor for our livelihood, but not doing over endeavoring to achieve something which is really something very difficult to attain in this world, which is beyond our reach sometime, and we are just struggling to attain that. So that is called Prayas, over endeavoring. So in our material activity, if they are taking so much of our time that we are left with no time for spiritual activity, then that is undesirable, right? Because we need to balance our activity such that we can manage our life also, and at the same time we can engage in some spiritual activities also. For example, if somebody is working 12, 14, 16 hours in a day, and then you ask him that why you are not coming to the program? Oh, I'm working so hard, I'm working 16 hours in a day, I have no time. But why are you working so hard? Oh, that's a necessity of life, I need to fulfill my responsibilities, that's why I'm working so hard. And then you talk more, what you discover is this person has taken so much loan to buy a big bungalow, big house, and then on top he has taken a loan to get a very luxurious car. So when you tell him, why don't you just sell this big bungalow and take a basic house, 2-3 bedroom house? Why you need to have this luxury car? You can take some basic car, Toyota Corolla or Honda Civic, something like that. Why you need this luxury car, BMW or something, and you're paying so much of monthly installment for all these cars? And if you tell something like, this person say, oh no, how can even you suggest such thing? You don't know, I have this particular position in the company, and at that position I need to maintain my status symbol. See, otherwise what my juniors, what my colleagues will think of me. So I need to maintain some lifestyle. But what is that person doing? To show off to people, to maintain his nose high in the society, he is working so hard and giving up all other priorities of life. He has no time for the family, he has no time for spiritual activity. So most of the time what people do generally is, we are buying the things which we don't need with the money which we don't have, and to please to whom, which we don't like, right? Many times people buy the things which we don't need, over accumulating. And how we are paying for those? By taking loan or by using credit card, using this plastic money. So not really our money, we are just using, thinking I will pay off later. And then because we want to please to other people in the society, we want to show off to our neighbors or our relatives or somebody, and that's how our life become entrapped by all these self-imposed responsibilities. We have put so much of unnecessary responsibilities on ourselves which are really not needed, right? Somebody has come to America and now he want to buy $1 million house so that he can show to his relatives in India, see, I have such a big house in America, I'm such a living a luxurious life in America. And then people are just spending all their time in maintaining the house, doing the yard work, taking care of the cars, washing the cars, shining the cars, taking the dogs on the walk and picking the poop of the dogs. So just in these activities, they're spending their life, and they're thinking we are very living in a high society. We have a very high social society symbol, social circle. So that is all in the category of prayas. And people are so busy in earning money, spirituality becomes their least priority. We may have to give our attention to work, we may have to give our attention to family, but for the spiritual life, we take it as a least priority, thinking who is coming behind me to ask me, because we think I have no accountability. If you show little indifference towards your work, your boss will come behind you, right? Why you are not fulfilling your responsibility, why are you are not finishing your project? So then we think, oh no, I need to work, I need to spend my time in the work. If you don't spend time with the family, your children, your spouse will come behind you, why you are not giving any attention to us? But for spiritual life, We think, oh, it doesn't matter if I don't do my sadhana for a few days, who is coming behind me, who is going to ask you, who is going to check on you. So we take spiritual life as the least priority. We want to spend our time in work, entertainment, our eating and sleeping, all those things. Yes, those all to be taken care. But spiritual life, Krishna keep getting sliding down from top priority to the last priority. Now, that is leading to the unbalance in the society. Material versus spiritual unbalance. Many times people don't even have balance in their material life itself, but to talk about spiritual life, because their professional life, their health and family, etc., those itself are completely unbalanced, isn't it? Ask somebody, why are you working so hard? Oh, पापी पेट का सवाल है, प्रभु जी खाना तो है, खाने के लिए कमाना पड़ेगा, so we want to earn so that we can eat. So people are earning hard so that they can eat nicely, but then they don't have even time to eat, right? People are working hard to eat, but then look at their lifestyle. In the morning they're rushing. Oh, I have to go to the work, and people are using all this what do you call to go, right? Go to Tim Horton or Starbucks, and there is a to go line that, okay, just take something with you and eat on the way. Then they are doing their work, some lunchtime, they don't have proper time to eat, meetings scheduled during lunchtime also, so they are doing some work, attending some meeting or something, and in between taking some bite and eating. At night, come back home, husband wife both working, they don't have time to cook meal, so let's just go somewhere out and eat somewhere outside, or use those what they call as a frozen meals. The name on the box maybe say healthy choices, but is it really a healthy choice or an unhealthy choice? So I am really surprised seeing people using those frozen boxes. Just take that out, put it in the microwave, heat it up and eat that, and they think they're eating very healthy. And you don't know for how long it has been stored, for how long it has been kept on the shelf. After that, you have brought in the house and you are keeping in the fridge for 15 days, and you are thinking I'm eating healthy. So that is the craziest thing. So people are working hard, earning so that they can eat properly, eat nicely, and they don't have time to eat. So there is a imbalance between their material life itself. What to talk about spiritual imbalance? So how we can make that balance in our life? We need to give priority to the spiritual life also. We need to balance our activity of our work, family, health, our spirituality. And it's not a kind of a static balance, right? We discussed this point earlier also. There's no fixed mathematical formula that, okay, these many hours for work, these many hours for family, these many hours for spiritual life. This is all dynamic balance as we go. Like the example I gave earlier was also riding the bike. When we are riding the bike, sometime you may ride at a slow speed, sometime at a fast speed. Sometime the biker may even leave the hand on the bike, and sometime when you are going on a slope, then you have to slow down, right? Then you have to put your brakes also and hold the handles carefully. So it's a dynamically balancing while you are riding the bike, or when somebody is doing the skating. That's a dynamic balance. So same way in our life also, we need to have a dynamic balance. Sometime our work demand may be more, so that's okay. At that time, if you have to put little extra hours in your work, sometime our family responsibility, family demand may be more. Somebody is sick in the family, you need to take care of some other family emergency situation. Somebody has broke down in the house, your fridge has broke down or something. Okay, so those are emergency situation, you can take care of those things. And at other times, some same way in our spiritual life also, sometimes we may have a higher responsibility or more services to do for some festival occasion, or some sannyasis are visiting to attend the program. So it's a dynamic balance. Sometimes more priority is given based on the need, but we need to give priority. We need to make a balance in all these different aspects of life. We cannot just say, okay, just work, and we will think about other things later. So that is prayas, related to prayas. It's not that, okay, let me just work hard. Now let me earn millions of dollars, and later on, then I can do spiritual life, take care of spiritual life. So I think I will stop here today. We covered only atyahara and prayas. The remaining 4 we will cover in the next class. And let's see if there are any discussions related to these 2 points or whatever we discussed today.
Only question is, what is laulyam, Prabhuji?
Laulyam. Laulyam means greed.
Okay.
So material greed. Yes, there could be spiritual greed also. That laulyam is better. That laulyam is good. It says laulyam ekam mulyam. For spiritual life also, we need to have that greed. I want to hear more and more. I want to do more and more service. So that is spiritual greed, which is good. Here, laulyam, we are talking about the material greed, which is unhealthy or unfavorable for our progress in Krishna consciousness, because the laulyam leads to over endeavor also, right? When we have so much greed to accumulate more and more, then it will lead to over endeavor also, which will take away our time from any other activities.
Prabhuji, these days we have a craze for going in for all those artificial intelligence, robotics. People want to go to Mars. They want to get rid of whatever, not thinking that, there's enough to do on this earth. So what are those prayas? Is it really over this one, or, is it required?
So that is, so if we are working towards, right, that is part of our profession, our career. So somebody is spending their adequate amount of time in your profession, it's okay. But if somebody is just working, thinking I need to do something noble, I want to create some patents and I want to publish some papers, and over endeavoring for that, and becoming restless nights and not able to eat also, somebody is over endeavoring for all that, then it comes in the category of prayas, right? So we can do our work, but balance that work. Okay.
The interesting part of it, Prabhuji, I find it, Rupa Goswami is a very successful man, right, before he became. So he knows what the prayas he was doing. He was even king's minister or something like that, isn't it?
Yes.
So these people were rich at that time. You can imagine that, even about 1400 Nawabs and all those. So he knows what the whole problem of our materialism is, because he was a very big man. Hare Krishna.
Yes, so that's why they did not want to over endeavor for gaining more name and fame and wealth while working for the Nawab, right? So they were like the prime minister and the finance minister for Nawab, but they were taking the time off from their work and engaging in spiritual activity. At one point of time, Sanatan Goswami, he did not even go to work for many days, and he sent a message, I'm sick and I cannot come to work. What he was doing? Inviting the Brahmanas at home and reading and hearing Bhagavatam. So he did not want to over endeavor for materialistic activities. Rather, he wanted to endeavor for spiritual activities, engaging in spiritual activities.
Prabhuji, I have a question about accumulating wealth. So, suppose if a person is accumulating wealth with some future financial planning, that if we have something so that in future we can use it for Krishna service, or we can use it as some kind of a backup money if we dedicate ourselves say full time or with more efforts toward Krishna consciousness. So is it like good that we can do that, or it's because we are having this thing in mind, but we don't know the future, right? What will happen?
Right.
So
So,
how should we take it?
so now you yourself answer that question that yes, we do sometime planning for the future, but you don't know what is in store in the future. So again, as I said, we are not saying don't save for the future, don't save for the emergency situation, but at the same time, we need to be considerate about, is it leading for me to over endeavor right now, taking unnecessary burden on myself now to save for the future, right? People work extra hours so that they can save for the future, or people try to justify their over collection on the name of that, oh, in the future I want to engage in some bigger project where I can donate a lot of money, or I am spending 2 extra hours so I can earn a little extra to give some donation to the temple. So people can give any sort of justification, but better is to engage in the process of devotional service under the guidance of somebody, not by your own whimsical ideas. Better consult with your mentor, with your guide. Is it okay for me to engage in this extra 2 hour over endeavoring so I can give some donation to the temple, and see what they guide you, right? Because our main priority is your sadhana, your chanting, your hearing, your reading. If over endeavoring is taking those basic activities away from us, our sadhana, then the plain answer is no. You don't have to work extra hard so that you can give little extra donation to the temple. Because see, first of all, giving charity is a matter of attitude. It's a matter of the state of mind. It's not that I am collecting so that in future I will give charity. Charity is attitude which is starting from right now. It's not about giving too much, it's about the attitude of giving. So even if whatever you have right now, in that also are you able to give something for Krishna? Right? Sudama, what did Sudama give to Krishna? Sudama did not have a lot of wealth, and he was not thinking, oh, let me work somewhere, go somewhere under the king and work for him and earn some money so I can take something to Krishna. He just took whatever he was able to acquire, little chipped rice. That's what he took to Krishna. He had offered to work for a king and he had denied. One of his friend had gone and worked for the king to earn some livelihood, to earn money, but Sudama refused. I don't want to work for anybody to maintain my livelihood. I will maintain myself by the mercy of the Lord. My tongue is to glorify Krishna, not to glorify the king. So we should not think, let me over endeavor so I can save for the future to do some big project for Krishna. Yes, if we have ability to save now, yes, go ahead and save so that we can use for the future also. And yes, we have to do little planning. We have to do some saving for, as a householder, we have to do some saving for based on kids' education plan or whatever their necessities, needs are. Again, the bottom line point is it should not lead to over endeavoring, taking 2 jobs and forsaking everything else. So जैसे बोलते हैं ना, कहावत है, जितनी चद्दर उतने पैर पसारिए. So just live based on how much ability you have. Sometimes people take loan and they don't have the ability to pay off that loan, and then they have to work double job, triple job. Somebody has a yearly income of $75,000 and you take a loan of $50,000. Does it make sense? Will you be able to easily pay off that loan? And same way, on the other side, if somebody has an income of 100K and then you are taking a 10K loan, it's manageable. So we need to see what are my manageable boundaries, not over stressing myself.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So Prabhu, the key point here is that your endeavor or over endeavor should not come in your way of balanced life on the spiritual path. But otherwise, when we say that we dovetail our activities, regular activities, to in a Krishna conscious way, which means that you're still doing endeavor to your capacity, to your, even if over endeavoring also is okay, but it should not come and become an impediment in your balanced life and the spiritual life.
See, everybody has to do some endeavor to maintain their livelihood, right? So we have to do some endeavor to earn our income, to maintain the house and all. So that's, yes, that endeavor is okay. We have to endeavor, but that endeavor should not come in our way to progress in spiritual life, that it is taking all our time and energy away from us, that we are not left with any time or any energy to do our sadhana or any service for Krishna.
Yeah. So Prabhu, last week she attended the lecture from Maharaj at Ditra temple.
Chaitanya Charan Prabhu.
Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji. So Prabhu, he brought a very, it was about 1866. What is surrender? So Sarvadharmana Parityaja Mam Ekam Sharanam Braja. So Braja, like what is Braja there? So in that, Prabhu made a parallel between the Parthasarthi, where Krishna is asking that to Arjuna. On the other hand, as a Kunja Vihari, when gopis are going to Krishna in Bhagavatam. So that, but the one key parallel was that whether as Arjuna, after surrendering to Krishna, it's an active surrender, it's not a passive surrender that you are just surrendering to Krishna and doing nothing type, but you're still doing that action.
Right.
And that as action, whether Arjuna is just throwing arrows in the battlefield or Gopi is doing the churning of the butter, that's an action. And that's where we see that the endeavor is going on in both different ways, but the commonality is that there's an endeavor going on. That's where when we say that the dovetail of the activities is happening, one can do, it's an active surrender, not necessarily that you're leaving everything and or you're leaving or you're doing less than what you have the potential or a capacity to do, but doing that to your full potential, to your full capacity, but in keeping Krishna as a center and doesn't become
right. So in the example which you gave, yes, Arjuna had a active surrender, not just as a passive surrender that, okay, Krishna, I take your shelter, I'm surrendered to you, so now you take care of everything. Arjuna still had to work, right? Arjuna still had to do the fighting. He had to participate in war. He was shooting the arrows and he was doing everything. But he was doing it for, as per the instructions of Krishna, for the pleasure of Krishna. The same way in our activities, if we are always remembering Krishna and acting for satisfaction of Krishna, for the pleasure of Krishna, then our endeavor is not just on the materialistic platform. But if we forget Krishna and we are just endeavoring for our own personal satisfaction to fulfill our personal agendas, then it comes in the category of over endeavor, Prayas. Are we doing something for satisfying our own ego? Are we working to satisfy our own desires? So if we are working in that way and we are justifying it on the name of Krishna, oh, I'm doing it for Krishna, but are we really doing it for Krishna, or we are doing it for our own purpose, right? To keep our nose high in the society.
Yeah, Prabhu, that you had a grid earlier which you said that material, object, spiritual outlook, so spiritual object, spiritual outlook.
Right. So in Ishopanishad we had that particular chart which I showed. So seeing the material object with spiritual vision,
Yeah.
right? Or sometimes people have the other way. They, even for the spiritual objects, they have a material vision.
That's the same.
So for the material object also, if we have the spiritual vision, then it is good. Then you are on the safe side. Because everything we are seeing from the spiritual point of view, that is called Yukta Vairagya. Utilizing everything in service of Krishna. I was giving this example of this car to Rahul Prabhu a couple of weeks back, maybe last week. Right, so this Camaro was saying, oh, you have a sports car. Yes, the sports car is there, but it's not really for sporting purpose, right? This is for, again, utilizing that to go to temple for doing the service for Krishna. So that's Yukta Vairagya. You have all the luxuries, you have all the facilities, but using it in service of Krishna, not for your own enjoyment. So we can have all the facilities at our fingertips, but it's a matter is what is your consciousness, how you are utilizing, how you are seeing that object. Are we seeing it with the spiritual vision, or we are seeing it with the material vision? Because sometimes people may see the devotees also from material point of view, right? They may consider the devotees also, oh, I am working and he is also working. What is the difference in me and him? Well, the difference is consciousness. I am working just for my own enjoyment and my own fulfilling desires, but the devotee is working so that he can maintain the family, which is as a gift of Krishna. So to please Krishna, to take care of the objects which are given by Krishna.
Yeah. So over endeavoring in this today's sense is actually material objects and a material vision.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Thank
thank
you.
you, everyone. I think we'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Wonderful class.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare
Danu
Krishna.
Pranam.
Krishna.